Hello guys, welcome to another video. In this video, we will see how we can create workflows using LangGraph. In the previous video, we have seen that we have only a single prompt and a single LLM, which will just do all the stuffs related to any kind of database queries. But now in this video, we will create a multiple prompts for multiple scenarios. For suppose if you want to book a flight and using a database, so you can use one particular prompt or one workflow. And if you have a scenario to book a cab or a car, then you can use another workflow. So we use it a specific workflow, and the prompt for the car booking is separate and the prompt for the flight booking is separate. So here in this video, we will see on how we can book a car, flight and a hotel using three different LLMs or kind of three different workflows. So I've just imported the required libraries. I've just set the API keys and I'm getting the connection of my local Postgres using the SQL Alchemy. That's it. I have few tools, and in these tools the first tool fetch user flight information based on the passenger ID passed. Here passenger ID is coming from the configuration, and this config is passed while triggering the LLM, which I'll show you down. We have a config here where inside which we pass the thread ID and passenger ID both. And I'm just querying by joining all the tables we have. And before that, I would like to show you the tables we have. First, for the flights, we have a table called flights, and in this table we have the location and the availability. So if we want to book for Thailand, yes, the availability is this, and it will go and insert a record or update a record inside this flight booking table by giving another ID, passenger ID, the location. If you see for 1005, the Thailand, it's booked. So we have two tables for flights, and for hotel we have only single table where we have the availability and the location, and based on the passenger ID comes, and the hotel type and every information, the status is booked or not and all. And similarly, like hotel booking, we have a single table for car booking in case if you want to book a car. So we have three different scenarios and three different prompts and chains we are creating using this, like three different workflows. That's it. We are just joining all this table, and to get all the complete information here in this tool. That's it. In the next tool is for search and book a flight. If the flight is there for a specific location we passed, then book it. That's it. It checks in the flight table and insert in the flights booking table. And if you want to check the status of the flight, you can just check the status whether it is booking or cancelled. If you have already booked and if you want to cancel the flight for the specific passenger ID, you can do that as well. So this is the three methods for the flight related information. Similarly, we have for hotel booking. So to book a hotel, to check the hotel status, to cancel the hotel. And similarly, we have three methods for car. To book a car, to check the status of the car, and to cancel the car. These are just the methods inside which I am using SQL Alchemy engine and connecting to database using pandas. That's it, not much. And these are the three util methods which I have explained in the previous video as well. In case while calling a tool, if we get any error, we are creating another message in our state inside which we are saying like this so and so error has occurred while calling this tool, and please fix that mistakes. We are just appending an extra tool message to our state or the state of the graph. That's it. And that method is called while we are triggering the tools. To call any method, we use runnable lambda in LangGraph using this method with fallback. In case if any errors occur, then call this. While calling these tools is what we are saying here inside this method. So whenever we want to call the tool, we'll just call this method. That's it. And next we have this update dialog state method. What the purpose of this state method is, as I told you, there are three different workflows here. So before that, how we have designed this agent is that we have a primary agent, and that primary agent will navigate the task to the flight booking agent or to the cab booking agent or to the hotel booking agent accordingly. So once that specific task is done, once it has triggered the flight booking agent, and based on the user query, user wants to book a flight and it has triggered the flight, the primary agent is navigated to the flight booking agent. And once this has done, again you have to come back to the primary agent. That is being handled here. I'll show you what exactly. If here we have the update dialog stat methods, and it has a list with the name left and another optional argument right. So if the right argument is passed as a pop, it removes that particular workflow. So if you see here in this state, we have the messages, which because at every point in time in our graph, whatever the message comes, whenever we call the state, it just updates those messages, the user info. And this is the new thing which we have added, and it takes these 4 arguments are the pop. So for suppose if the primary agent is there and we are booking a flight, this comes up, and in case if we pass the pop, it removes these book flights and only the assistant will be there, something like that. I'll show you while we are running it. So this update dialog stack is whether to append the next workflow or to remove the workflow. That's it. And this is the same as before. We have a class called assistant, inside which we have to pass the LLM as an argument for a constructor, and inside this underscore call method, which calls whenever you create an object, we just invoke the LLM, and if the tool response is nothing, and if it is none, then we are just appending this message. That's it. And we have another tool called complete or escalate, and this doesn't have any kind of navigation logic, and as we are giving and in this tool we are just referencing some sample examples. The purpose of this tool is to pass the communication between one workflow to another workflow. For suppose we are in the flight booking workflow, and if you want to pass some kind of information to the primary agent which we have, so then in that case we use this tool. We don't use it. The internal AI will pass the information whether to cancel this request or not. If so, what is the reason? So we just gave some sample examples to it, and it internally uses this information and it decides and pass the information. I'll show you while running the exact purpose of this tool. A tool to mark the current task as completed or escalate the control to the main assistant. As I said, we have a primary assistant, and the primary assistant will pass it to the information to the flight booking or the cab booking or the hotel booking. So to pass or to communicate between these, we use this tool. That's it. Whether it has successfully done the job. If so, what is the reason? Reason is string, and the cancel is whether it has done the job or not, true or false. These are just the sample examples. So now we have the very first flight booking prompt. So we are creating a chain here using prompt and the tools, and it's just that like this is specific to the flight booking. Please take all the user requests properly, behave properly, some kind of prompting we have done. And if you see, we have 3 tools here. One is search and book flight, check flight status, cancel flight status. That's the 3 methods which we have declared here. If you see, search and book flights, check flight status, and cancel flights. So these 2 inside which we don't update, we just like query it. So I kept under safe tools, and wherever we are updating the database, I've kept under sensitive tool, because when we are updating the database, I want to interrupt the flow and take the user confirmation whether to update or not. That's it. That's the purpose. I've just appended those 2 into these tools, and I have a prompt and an LLM, and LLM is binding those tools. That's it. Along with this complete or escalate. That's it. So this is a flight runnable for updating the flight. Similarly, for a hotel, I have a prompt and I have a tools to check the status and to book and to cancel the hotel, and I'm doing the same job. Similarly, I have for the car as well, car booking. So these are 3 different workflows here, or we can call it as 3 different chains. And here we have a class, one for flight booking, one for car booking, and another for hotel booking. So our methods or our tools expect some kind of arguments, the location and the request and all. So we are using the pedantic way of passing an arguments to our methods using these classes. That's it. I'll show you the exact purpose of this class. So whenever this particular class is being called, then we trigger the flight workflow. Whenever this particular class is called, we trigger the car workflow. I'll show you. So now on top of it, we have a primary assistant. And this primary assistant, the request comes to this primary assistant, and the primary assistant will navigate to the 3 different assistants. That's what we have said. And inside this primary assistant, we have just one tool called Taveli search, which is used to search the information from the internet. That's it. We are just binding that information. That's it. And if you see, we have passed 3 different classes. The primary assistant needs to decide on which tool to call here. We have passed 3 here. When the flight comes, the flight should call. When the car comes, the car should call. So here we are just creating an entry node. That's it. If you see inside this entry node, we are just calling this method, and inside this method, we are just taking whatever the tool is being called at that point in time, and we are just appending that based on the assistant name. So you'll understand when this is being called more clearly. So we have, this is how we create a graph in LangGraph. So I have a builder. So I've just passed the state class which we have created. Inside state class we have three variables. One is user info, one is messages, and another is the dialog state. So this user info will just call this and get the information. So once it starts, when our workflow starts, it goes to user information, queries the database, tries to get the information of the user in case if we have it in the database. That's it. And once that is done, we are creating another node called enter update flights node. So and this enter update flight node is calling a method called create entry update nodes. So what are we doing? This is the name of the assistant, and this is the next node it is to call. So what does this method exactly does? If you see here, we are passing this particular name as the assistant name, and then this is the next node. That's it, the next dialog box. Why we need to pass this next dialog box? So it should know at which workflow it is in. So the major purpose of this method is we are just returning a message, a tool message and a dialog state here. So we are just kind of giving a heads up by appending an extra tool message in our state saying that this you are in this state now. This is the assistant. This is the name of your assistant. So you have to do so and so job. Just kind of giving some heads up. That's what this create entry node does. Before calling a specific workflow, we are just calling this create entry node to give an heads up like this is your job, this is what you have to do, and that's the prompt I have written here. That's it. So once this fetch user comes up, and then we are creating another node. That's the create entry node, and from here we are navigating to update flight node, and in the update flight node we are just calling an assistant here, a flight related assistant or the flight related LLM or the flight related chain. And once this enter update flight is done, we have to navigate to the update flight. That's what the edge we have decided. So now we are creating another node. One is for the sensitive tools, one is for the safe tools. Safe tools where we doesn't update, we just query. In the sensitive tools, we'll just update. We'll just update the DB. That's it. So now till here we are done with calling the LLM or an assistant update flight. So after the update flight is done, it has to decide whether to go to the sensitive tool or whether to go to the safe tools. That is being written here. That's it. So if you see, it just takes the state of the graph, and if it is end, it just ends. If or else it takes the messages. So as you know, in LangGraph, in this state, messages, every action is being appended. So we have to just read the last one, and get the tool calls. In case if this tool call has the complete or escalate, then it will return to the leave skills. In case if this tool calls has like something like safe tool or a sensitive tool being called, then it returns accordingly. Whether it's a safe tool, go to the safe tool. Whether sensitive tool, go to the sensitive tool. That's it. If you see here, once this sensitive tool is called, again we are calling this update flight agent only. Once the safe tool, again the update flight agent only. But here if you see, once the update flight is called, here we have decided here after creating a node, create and call an update flight assistant node, right? So here using this method, we are just navigating and deciding which one to call, whether to escalate or say the job is done. I mean, whatever the query is asked, the job is done. Then you can go to the leave skills. In case if the job is not done and if you have to call some tool, then call that specific tool is what being checked here in this method. That's it. Accordingly, it will call the specific. So what exactly is the leave skill here? Leave skill is another node here. If you see, the leave skill is another node, and it calls this particular pop dialog state. So what this pop dialog state does is, inside this pop dialog state, it is saying the job is done. I mean, we have done what the user has asked. So now we have to navigate back to the primary assistant. That's what, resuming dialogue with the host assistant. So the job is done. So we are just appending another message, and we are passing a pop, and this new message is passed to this message. So this will append the messages in our state, and this pop means when we come up, we have a method here, right? So this, whenever we got the pop, we are removing the last element. That means, for suppose the assistant is there. and then the flight booking assistant is called. So when it comes to the leave skills, this, as the pop is come, we are just removing this from our state. So right now our state will be on the assistant, and again if the user asks any questions, and again it comes to the assistant, and again it navigates accordingly. So that's how this dialog pop will work. So that's what we have done for the flight, and similarly you can done the same thing for the car booking and the hotel also. So if you see, it first creating an entry node, and this entry node is kind of just appending a new message to our state and giving the heads up that you have to do so and so, you are a so and so assistant and all those things. So we are just in this node, we are just appending a message. If you go to this method again, see, we are just appending a message, that's it, and creating a new dialog, and later we are removing that new dialog using the leave skill node, and the dialog name is book car and the assistant name is car assistant. So once we create a node, then we are calling this node. So we are creating an edge accordingly, right? So first this and then these two nodes are created here, that's it. Inside the book car we are just calling the assistant, and now we are creating two other nodes, same like save tool and sensitive tool. One is for booking, one is save tool because just we want to query the database, and sensitive tool in case if you want to update it. Because why we have separated those two tools is because we are interrupting before calling the sensitive tool. I'll show you where we are interrupting it. And similarly, like how we have a navigation method for flight, we have a navigation method for route as well here, car booking as well. So we are just reading the last message in that state. As I'm again saying, in LangGraph, inside this state we have three variables: messages, user info, and dialog box. So the action which is being done is just keep on getting appended, because we have created a state with the three arguments. Three arguments here. So every time any action comes, those gets appended. So accordingly the next course of action will be decided. That's it. So we are just reading the last message, and we are deciding in case if the last message needs to escalate to the primary assistant, or in case if it should mark as complete and go to the primary assistant, or it should call any of the tools. So in case if it has to escalate or just update the primary assistant that our job is done, then this gets executed. In case if it has some tool to call, then this gets executed. So the leave skill node is like, when are we calling this leave skill node? Whenever we say the task is, the secondary assistant task is completed or needs to be escalated to the primary assistant. So if you see, the leave skill is nothing but the removing the pop. That's it. That's what we have seen before. Leave skill calls this method, and in this method we are just passing the pop to the dialog state and appending a new message that this so and so work is done. That's it. And inside this pop means when we go to the update dialog box. So when we go to the update dialog state, the pop means just remove the last. So as I said, from assistant it will be in the car booking agent, right? Car booking workflow. So when we pass the pop, it goes back to it removes this. So it will be in the assistant state again. That's it. So we created this. Once the sensitive is called, again go to the update flight. Once the update flight is called, again go to the update flight. So here we are creating the edges. So here we are creating the condition. Once the update flight is called, use this method and decide based on the last message in our state, decide what to call, whether to escalate to the primary assistant or to call a specific tool. Decide that. That's what we are doing. And the same is done for the car booking also. Creating a node, another nodes, same stuff, exact same stuff. That's it. So now we have created all the nodes and edges for the secondary assistants, like for flight, for booking, and for car. But we still haven't created for the primary assistant. So we have to create a first primary assistant. The primary assistant will use the primary assistant to. So we have created a node for the primary assistant. That's it. So this is where the logic we have created. So now if you see, after the primary assistant, use this method and navigate which one to call, because it's a conditional edge. So this inside this method we are taking the state again, because in LangGraph everything happens through state only. Based on the state last message, it decides, or we decide which step to go next. So we are taking the last message and we are taking the tools, and in case if the tools has the name flight booking, then go to the enter update flight. In case if the tool last message in the tool has the book car, go to this node. In case of the hotel booking, then go to this node. These three nodes are what we have created above, else primary node which we have created here. That's it. So that's how the navigation happens. Now we are just we are just compiling the graph. That's it, by adding the memory. And here we have mentioned in interrupt before. So wherever there are the sensitive tool, just interrupt it, what we have said. And when we print, if you see, this is how the graph is. Start, go to the fetch user, the primary assistant. The primary assistant will navigate which assistants to go, whether to go to the primary assistant tools, which will just search the internet, and whether to go to the flight booking or a car booking or this one. So inside which we have the save tools, sensitive tools, and leave skill. Leave skills means go back to the primary assistant. That's it. So the leave skill is connected to the each and every of the secondary assistant. That's it. So now I'm just passing one passenger ID which doesn't exist in the database yet in any of the table. 1011 is not there, and I'm just passing a thread ID for memory purpose. So I'll just call one method one by one. So I'll just ask the queries one by one. So if you see here, so what is my first query? I'm saying I want to explore Thailand for my coming holidays. Can you please book a flight for me to Thailand? Can you please check the status of my flight? So I'll just do run all. So when I asked I want to explore Thailand, it has decided to directly book in a hotel, which is wrong. It just needs to give some information by using the primary assistant tool, which is Taveli search, which has happened when I was testing, but now it has used differently. So now my second question, can you please book a flight to Thailand? So it has called the correct tool only, and it has called the correct tool, search and book flights tool, and it has booked the flight successfully to Thailand. And now I have another question. Can you please check the status of my flight? So it has called the check flight status tool, and it has checked, yes, your flight is booked successfully. Now if we come to the database, and if I check here, before we don't have anything, passenger is 1011. Now we should have it 1011 Thailand booked status. That's it. So similarly, I have another question. Can you please cancel my flight? So this is a user interruption. So I want to cancel. That means I want to update the database. So I said whenever you have to call the sensitive tool, just interrupt before. So it will interrupt while calling the tool. So when I run it, see, it has asked, do you want to approve the above action? When I pass Y, then it will go ahead and cancel the flight. So your flight booking to Thailand has been cancelled successfully. So it called the correct tool. Now if I go to the database, this should be cancelled. When I run it again, see, it is cancelled like that. And the same thing is done for the car booking as well. First, let's just check for the hotel alone. If you see, can you please book a 5-star hotel for me in Thailand? Can you please check the status of my hotel? So when I run it, yeah, see, now it has successfully done the job. If you see, it has went to the hotel booking, and it has called the right hotel called book hotel. That's it. And a 5-star hotel has been booked successfully to you. See, Thailand. Can you please check the status of my hotel? Now it has called the right tool, and it has called the check hotel status. That's it. And yes, your hotel is booked successfully. Now if we come to the Postgre, and if we come here and query the hotel booking, we should have 1011 for 5-star hotel, and it is booked. And if you want to cancel, we have another query to cancel. So it is just asking the user approval. That's it. So this is how we create workflows using LangChain when you have a different stream of requirements. I haven't done anything special here. I have referred to one of the LangGraph tutorial. I have just used this particular tutorial, and I have used this tutorial as a reference. I'll append this link as well in the YouTube comment section. I'll pin this, and based on this tutorial I have just created my own one. That's it. Thank you so much for watching.